Alright, so hey guys, welcome back. So in this part of the course, we're gonna be making the coral. So the coral is a couple of interesting features. So of course, like you saw in the intro shot, there's across the ground there's a whole bunch of different coral being scattered. And the thing is, like, if we were to only generate one model for the coral and then scatter it, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see that it's not a different coral. Like you might do to a couple, and then you're gonna see it a little bit less, and you might vary the color. What I actually did is I generated 32 different pieces of coral randomly, and those are picked randomly and then scattered across the ground. So as we did in some other part of the course, we were generating with a random function, we were generating a random value and using that to apply to certain parameters. Well, there's also something called wedging, where you can also generate random values, and then you can put those random values inside of parameters. So a little bit different than attributes, but that's what I use to generate the coral. So this is the coral that I made. And right now you see there's like not really any coral. That's because I haven't generated the wedges yet. So don't worry, we're going to get into how the wedges are set up later. But for now, let's just start, let's cook the wedges, and then we can see the coral being generated. So if I go in there, and if I can remove this one, by the way, because I only need this one. But if I select this wedge and then press Shift V, you can see a whole bunch of green dots being generated. So those are the amount of wedges. So right now it's set to 16. So if I now press one of the buttons, you can see that it's generating coral. So this one, you can see it's generating a whole bunch of different pieces of coral. So right now it's doing 16, but I could up this to like 35 and now generate it. Now I got 35 different pieces of coral. And these can all be saved to disk, and then after that I can scatter them to the ground. So let's dive into how you can do something like this. I'm gonna go up a level. I'm gonna split my view. So I can also have my original on the side. So again, so I can kind of see how I did it last time. So it will make it easier to sort of go over the whole thing. All right. So what we start with is an L system. So let's make an empty geometry node. Call it, I guess, coral tutorial. Let's dive in and let's make an L system. So L system is it's this basically. What it does is, like, you have a amount of generations, and you can see it will just split to 3. Those will split to 3, and you can keep upping this, and then there will keep coming more stuff. So you can use this to generate stuff like trees. You can like plants, all kinds of stuff. So we are using it for coral, of course. It's just coral is actually it's not that hard to generate. You just have to know how to do it. So we're using this L system to do it. You can see I have a bunch of stuff being add generations at random. So those will be the wedges, but we're not gonna talk about that for now. We're gonna do that later. Let's just first build a coral piece ourselves, and then we're gonna wedge it after that. Right, so if we have this L system, if we turn on point attributes, we get a whole bunch of attributes. So if we go in there, let's select it, you can see we have a whole bunch of attributes. So if I deselect it, you don't get anything, but if we select it, we get a whole list of attributes that we can use. So by default, it does have some width attribute, but that doesn't really give us what we want. So we can also, like in these settings, you have, for example, let's say that we want to, I think you can set it to a certain width by default. Right, so it has a width attribute. So if we type polywire, so you can already see it's doing, it's just generating a certain thickness. Maybe not exactly what we want, but like, let's say if we type add width, because it already has a width attribute. So let's see. add width. Let's change the thickness. So this is not exactly what we want. Maybe we want some more like variation, or we can like make it thinner. So let's do something ourselves. So let's have a look at these attributes. So previously we were using the resample to generate something across the across the thing, but we kind of don't want to do that. Like if we do a resample here, like if we see this is 27 primitives. So what happens if we create a curve view from this and then put this, for example, to be driven by add curve view, and then maybe divided by 50 or something, you're gonna get this. So it's gonna do it for every part of the line, because each of these lines are, as you can see, they're sort of, they count as sort of as separate primitives. So this is not really usable. I mean, unless you like this shape, then I guess it might be usable. So we're not going to do it that way. We already have actually some stuff we can use inside of our L system. So you see we have this LH attribute. So it's a little bit weird value. I'm not sure what it stands for exactly, but maybe line H or something. But it goes up to 1.2. So what we can do is maybe go in there. Maybe we can make a visualizer to sort of see what it does. So maybe so let's make a marker. So again, if you press in the viewport D, you get this this window. Type LH. Text. Why is it not displaying? Make a new one. For some reason, okay, there it is. So starts at 0, goes up, goes to 1.2. So 0, 1.2, 0, 1.2. So it goes all the way across the thing to 1.2. So this is a lot more useful. We just need to fit it to a 0 to 1 value range, because of course always want to keep stuff within 0 to 1. So let's see if this actually changed. Like if we make it longer, then it goes to 0.5, 0.8. Okay, we need to start fitting this. So let's dive in there. And let's bind our attribute. So again, bind means loading it into your FOB network. So that's called LH. Again, you can check it in your geo spreadsheet, LH. Or LH, or whatever you want to call it. Then we can fit range. Let's plug it in. And then we need to say a source max. Maybe let's promote the source max. Let's put a ramp parameter. Let's put the spline ramp. And let's bind export it to, let's say, p-scale or something. Right. Type p-scale in here. Oh, and maybe we want to have a multiplier in between this, of course, so like we did before. Multiplier in between. So we can override the complete thickness. So all right, it's looking a little bit weird. Let's invert it. Let's turn off the marker. All right, that's already looking a lot better. So now you can see we have this control here going from the bottom to the top. And I'm already doing it way differently than I did in my original thing, but It's always when you're doing something yourself, just playing around, you're just usually bash stuff together, and then if you're gonna build it again, and if I'm explaining it like this, like I could have probably done it a better way. So I'm just gonna do some stuff a little bit differently. So maybe we want be able to add some noise to this thing. So let's do another. So let's maybe say this, create width. And by the way, maybe we just also want to add the noise. Let's just do this in the same because then we can just take this attribute from here, and then we don't need to write it out after we fit it. So let's maybe do a turbulent noise. Let's do position. Like that. And let's promote parameter for frequency, promote offset, promote amplitude, and let's let me full screen this. So we probably want to multiply this amplitude later. Remember, this will be doing all the time. Let's promote roughness. For some reason, it doesn't want to let me. There we go. All right, let's make it a 3D noise. Let's add to position. Let's pop out the amplitude. And maybe we want to multiply it by this. Let's have a look what that looks like. Right, so let's right, that's not exactly what we want. Let's not do that. So this is 0 to 1 value. Let's make another ramp. Call this ramp 2, I guess, or ramp noise. Just give it a name. Blind ramp. Put it in there, and put that in the multiply. So now this thing has 2 noises. Again, you can just keep adding these parameters the way you'd want to. Let's promote a noise type maybe, so we have some control over that. So I'm going to make this a, where is it? A simplex noise. Right, so now you can see now it stays nice and still at the bottom. Right, it's already a little bit more interesting, right? Perfect. Let's make the thickness a little bit thicker. So where did we do that again? Was this one, right? Kind of probably need to name it, but you could also multiply a noise on the thickness. I'm not going to do that for now, but I mean, you can do it yourself if you want to. Right, so now maybe let's make this a little bit more chorally. Let's make this a little bit thicker first. Or maybe I should name my stuff, but let's do that by the way. So let's call the multiplication thing. Where is it? Let's call it thickness. So we don't keep searching for where it's located. All right. So let's use the VDB thing. So we used the VDBs before when we did the pig thing, right? So VDBs are actually super useful to make stuff look organic. Let's do VDB from polygons. Let's plop it down. And you can see nothing is happening. It's because the resolution is not high enough. So right now with 0.1 division size, it's quite, it's not enough. So we need to lower this. So be careful with this. Always do it in small increments, because if you lower this too much, VDBs tend to eat up a lot of RAM, and if you just crank this up way too much, your system is going to freeze. So, but for now, I'm pretty sure that I can put this to 0.01. So let's give, oh, sorry, I need to do the VDB from polygons after the polywire. So that's why it was not working. So I need to do it from polygons, of course. I could also do it from points, but so be smart and do it like that. So now you can see I did it after the polywire, and 0.01 looks pretty good. So let's convert this. You could also alternatively, like we did before, make this like add some noise in it. We're gonna do that later when we generate a rock. But for now, for the coral, I didn't do that. I didn't think it looked, well, we kind of need it for it. You don't. So let's convert it to polygons. So now we have sort of, it's looking a little bit more smoother, right? It's quite nice. So now maybe we want to add some more noise into this this thing itself, just on the geometry. So let's make another attribute VOP. Let's say turbulent noise. Put it to add. Already looking beautiful. Do simplex noise. The alligator noise tends to push it out a little bit too much. It's maybe simplex noise. All right. So some other stuff, like what I did is I added a little band. Which you don't necessarily need to do, I guess. I mean, it added a little bit of variance, but not necessarily makes it a lot better. So I'm not sure. But like you can see, you can twist it a little bit or something. Right. So that's looking sort of good. So what I did here is I had a random color for visualization, which you don't necessarily need to do, but I mean, yeah, it just like I like it for the visualization. But we're gonna use the random like this random thing inside of the shader as well. But let's just also add it. Let's do an attribute randomize. Put it to be detail attribute. Call it rand. So it's going to be from 0 to 1. So if we look in here, let's make it float. So you can see now we get a random value in detail. And why are we doing it on detail? We want it to be random for the entire thing. And we're going to do attribute promote. And we're going to promote it from detail to point. Maybe we want to make it small letters. So this detail trick to just do stuff on detail if you want it to be on the entire thing and just promoting it back. You use that quite a lot. So now if you go here, you can see now we have a random value. This is the same for everything. And yeah, so this random thing can have a random seed. So it's gonna be different depending on the seed. So if we look in here, so you can see it will change. So and then we can, when we do the wedge, we can change the random seed and any other stuff that we maybe wanna do. So let's put an output here, and let's put the color in between. So we have a. So let's do. I'm just gonna copy this thing over because I don't really wanna make the ramp again. But all it's doing is ramp. So putting a color, putting it to ramp from attribute, saying to put the rand, and the range is going to be 0 to 1. Remember, we always work in 0 to 1 range because that's just easy. And then just put some random colors. So now depending on whatever I'm going to put here, the color is going to be different. And again, this is just for visualization because we can also just use this random attribute inside of the shader. Right, so now we got something going, which can generate interesting shapes. So we have noise here. We have a random we have a thickness that we can change. Maybe we want to add a little smooth down here to sort of get rid of those insane spikes that we sometimes get. So that we don't get those spikes. Let's make it a little bit thicker. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we could also randomize this. So I'd say this is good for now. This is good enough for just being our little coral thing. Maybe we want to put the adaptivity up a little bit. Not sure. Let's just keep it up for now. No, something like this. A little bit lower resolution then. Right. So now let's start adding the wedging in so we can get some randomization going.